Hey everybody, it's Putting You On Pod. I'm Ceci. I'm going to put you on. I am going to watch a newer Jubilee that they did that I haven't seen, and I haven't watched a Jubilee in a while. But it's Maga Woman faces off against young progressive man, Dean Withers and Emily Wilson. And I saw a clip, and she's an idiot. Let's just be real. She's an idiot. So I don't know. We're going to watch it. We're going to see what they had to say. I don't even know the topics they debated really, except I know that she said some stupid shit about Alex Preddy not being like worthy of life or something. It was crazy. Anyway, we'll watch it. Also, I'm thinking of like, I should start streaming, because the thing is like, I watch stuff all day, and you'll hear like, dude, especially when I'm just sitting here watching stuff, I'm like going off all the time, and people are always like, you need to stream, just fucking stream. So I think I'm gonna do that, especially because with the streaming platforms, it's not as censored, and I do edit. I do, because I can't say everything I want to say on this platform. Gah. So I'm definitely going to start streaming soon. I'll let you guys know when that happens, because I am so tired of having to pull back from you. Like, I want you to know fully what I think. And I do tell you, but I have to give you, and I know some of you right now are like, this is a watered down version. Fuck, yes it is. Okay, let's start it. It's called Face Off. So they do this thing now where, by the way, they stole this idea from a different channel called Mute Points. It's a channel ran by this guy, Paul, who I've been on before. He does this thing where you each get 10 minutes. It's a timer, and you can take the mic from each other by hitting your timer and stopping it. They took his idea. I'm just saying. All right.
To Face Off, where two people debate four claims. One clock, no interruptions. Today, Dean Withers, a liberal political commentator and debater, faces off against Emily Wilson, a conservative media personality. The clock starts now.
My first claim is Donald Trump's mass deportation is anti-American.
I would say the most American thing would be protecting Americans. I don't see anything un-American about it. People are crying at ICE for doing their jobs. They're intervening with ICE doing their jobs. That's why they're...
I'm already like, her face is so, I mean, and also, mass deportation plan is un-American. There's nothing more American than protecting Americans. Right. How's ICE doing that? By shooting, 2 in the street, 3, and then killing some in detention centers. I mean, yeah, okay. Protecting Americans by ripping them out of the... You know what? I'm going to wait. Let it roll.
They're getting shot and killed, rightfully so. I defend ICE doing their jobs. Both of those deaths of whatever their names were could have been completely avoidable. Probably better off without them, regardless. And, Obama...
It is a juice box. I am drinking a juice box, but... I like a juice box every now and then,
Obama was like, 3.1 mass deportation? Donald Trump are not doing well, probably like 890. I mean, Biden was up there like 1.1, something like that. So it's just the hypocrisy of it all. It's like, if some people are against it, some people are for it. I want every single illegal out of the country, every single one, at any cost. And then other than that, I just think it's funny that when he does it, it's different. Kids in cages, all this stuff. I mean, they've all been doing it, so I just don't know why they care when Trump does it.
Well, there's actually a lot that you said there that I want to touch on, and I'm sure that we will during this topic. And it's funny because you actually brought up one of the main reasons why his mass deportation has been so anti-American within your first breath. You said there's nothing anti-American about protecting citizens, and then you brought up an example of ICE executing a citizen on the streets of this country. Of course, you went on to say that it was completely justified and that we're better off without them. Let's go ahead and focus in on one of the 3 citizens who has been murdered by ICE, and that will be Alex Preddy. So first, you made a very bold claim. A man lost his life, a mother lost his son, a father lost his son, a hospital lost one of their nurses, and I think the world lost a good man. And your takeaway is we're better off without them, and that the shooting's justified. So Emily, tell me, what is the legal standard that authorizes an LEO and engaging in the use of lethal force ending the life of an American?
I don't know. Go ahead and tell me.
If you don't know the legal standard that justifies a shooting, then why the hell are you sitting here saying the shooting was justified?
The shooting is justified because we see who they are. All the information comes out of it. Oh, he was a loving... Same with the woman that got shot. Oh, he was a loving son. First of all, everyone was worried about him.
I just want to make clear to all of you watching this that Emily does not have a brain. Okay, she is missing part of her brain. I don't think you guys knew this, but when she was a kid, her parents dropped her on her head and they had to do massive brain surgery where they had to take out a large portion of her frontal lobe. I mean, it's on her Wikipedia page, I'm sure. Otherwise, maybe they buried it. I don't know. I'm just saying. But she has no facts. She knows nothing. She will never, ever come to a debate with any sort of statistics. She'll never come with any kind of... It's mind-blowing. See, the reason why she's become, well known to some people is because she has said some things that were audacious, some things that were salacious. She's said things that were rage-baity enough to give her a platform. And listen, relatable, I get it. But before I'm about to slay you like a cunt, I'm gonna drop some statistics first. I'm a bitch, but I'm a smart bitch. She is a stupid bitch. There's the difference. The Venn diagram, we're both in that bitch column, but she's on the stupid side and I'm on the smart side. Okay.
You see the text coming out, oh, we were worried about his mental health. He couldn't go to work anymore. He wasn't able to practice as a nurse. This whole thing of every time someone dies, the Democrats act like they're this amazing person. It's just not true. They even had to Photoshop the...
Well, when Charlie Kirk died, we all had to pretend he was an amazing person, right? Right? It's only, they live in hypocrisy. I am so sorry I keep interrupting this. We're going to play.
To make him seem normal so the public would react to him better. Why are you going to a protest? If people love you and care about you and you're a normal, productive citizen, you are not going to interfere with ICE protests, okay? Especially when they're getting death threats up like 5,000%, okay? Yes, you went in to stir up trouble. You're mentally ill. That's why you can't be at your job or with your friends anymore. Your family doesn't give a shit about you, or else you wouldn't be at an ICE protest because you're not a productive citizen. And other than that, when I see it, I'm like, it's just...
She thinks if you go to a protest, you're not being a productive citizen. I can't even tell you. I mean, right there, if you go to a protest, you're not being a productive citizen. I don't think I need to explain to you, my audience, how stupid that statement is and what an oxymoron it is in itself, because I know you guys are smart.
It's fine. Guess what? If I thought someone was going to harm me or my life, I would choose me over them.
So to clarify, your claim is, I have no clue what the legal standard is that justifies an LEO to shoot and kill an American, but I think Alex Preddy was mentally ill, therefore I think it's okay, right?
No, I'm asking you, that's not what I do. What's the legal justification of it? Go ahead and please educate me and tell me, but I think it was justified, yes.
Well, don't worry, I'm watching the clock. I am going to tell you what that legal standard is eventually. But before I do, I just am trying to determine why you think it's okay a man's life was ended. So I asked you why you think it's justified. Then you went on a 3-minute rant about how he's mentally ill and was at that protest when he shouldn't have been there. So to clarify, you think that his death was justified, his murder was justified, his execution was justified because he was mentally ill, he wasn't perfect like the Democrats say, CNN photoshopped his face, and he was at a nice protest, right?
I think it was justified because of his actions. That is why. Those are other things on top of it which led to this point. But yes, in my eyes, it is justified.
Perfect. What actions?
What actions? When you're going out of your way to go to ICE protests, harass them from doing their job, you're on camera. First of all, if you even look like you have he went with a gun, did he not? Did he not have a loaded gun?
Yes, he did have a gun on his holster, but you should know that in accordance with the Second, Fourth, and 14th Amendment, merely being in possession of a firearm does not authorize an LEO to literally shoot and kill you. So once again, I'll ask, what actions did he engage in that justified the shoot?
See, now this is where he should ask, how do you feel about Ashley Babbitt dying? They don't want to call it an insurrection. They always want to call it a fucking protest. Well, you were all armed at that protest. Dean asked her, how do you feel about Ashley Babbitt's death? Was that a justified killing? Because by her logic, they're in the exact same position. You were stopping lawful a lawful practice from happening, right? Because they were in the middle of trying to solidify the election, right? They were literally trying to stop that. So they're literally in the exact same position based on Emily's, logic. So he needs to ask her, what about Ashley Babbitt then? Because she's going to say, no, that's not justified. Well, they, by your logic, are in the exact same situations.
Shooting, you said he was harassing them. How was he harassing?
I just want to make it clear, though, that they weren't in the exact same. In her mind, they were. In my mind, they're not. No. Ashley Babbitt went to the Capitol to break in. They were all armed to stop a federal election from being solidified. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the same situation at all as Alex Preddy being outside recording them, and then when they push a woman, he jumped on top of the woman to protect her. Not the same.
Them that justified them literally killing him.
Okay, it's on video. You've seen the video and I've seen the video. That's what happened. You're going out of your way at a protest. He's been at many other protests. All these people are at every protest. They're known to harm people. They're harassing people, probably online talking about killing ICE agents. You're gonna go to a protest with a gun and a cop sees it as you're harassing these ICE officers that are getting threatened every day.
J6.
Dude, it's not even a Republican thing, a Democrat thing. It is a common sense thing. It is a common sense thing. I would never, yes, CCWs, I understand. I would never bring a gun to any Trump rally, anti-Trump. That is just not, it's just not a smart thing to do. That's why you end up dead.
Okay, condemn Kyle Rittenhouse.
Okay.
Kyle Rittenhouse?
Okay. That's a good one. Kyle's a good one because he went to a protest with a gun and he killed people. So, okay, he went that route.
What? Condemn him? Okay, I condemn him. I don't know.
He brought an AR-15 to a protest, remember?
Yeah, that's insane. I think that's insane. I'm not supporting Kyle Rittenhouse. I think that's nuts.
So you think that the cops would have been justified in shooting Kyle dead?
Maybe. I don't know. If the actions were different, maybe. I think if you're going to go with an AR-15 and you get shot by a cop, I don't think it's that weird, whether you're Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever his name was.
Why just a maybe? I mean, this is your defense for Alex Preddy, so why is it was totally justified if it was Alex Preddy, but it's maybe justified if it was Kyle Rittenhouse? Basically, what I'd suggest you say...
See, he should have gone with Ashley Babbitt, though. Maybe. He should have asked... Maybe. I get it.
Stand by your principle is, and I quote, Kyle Rittenhouse should have been shot and killed.
Well, I'm not going to say he should have. I don't know. Maybe he was in a better situation, but also he probably wasn't threatening to kill ICE agents and cops. He was probably more supportive on their side. And also he kill people, right?
Okay, so you also just made another suggestion there, that Alex Preddy threatened to shoot and kill a cop. That's not true. What's your evidence for that? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I don't know Kyle Rittenhouse's situation. It was a big story. I don't care. I don't know what happened. Don't think he's a bad kid. I'm glad he's not dead. I don't think he should be out shooting people. I know it was self-defense. If it's self-defense, great.
I don't think he was a bad kid. He shouldn't be out shooting people. People who go out shooting people are generally not they're not good kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here, Emily?
That guy, is he defending himself from the situation he put him in? Like, here's the thing. At the end of the day, that situation he's in is 100% avoidable. You can go into all the aspects.
I agree. It was an avoidable situation. We don't need cowboys from Texas coming up to Minneapolis to terrorize a community. It could have been avoided completely if ICE wasn't out like Gestapo trying to hunt humans. She's right. It could have been avoided.
Of it. I don't care that happened to him. I think it was very stupid to be there. There's a reason it doesn't happen to me, because I wouldn't put myself in that situation, and neither would you either. It's a very stupid situation to be in. It's really not that complicated. Avoid dumb situations.
Wait, Emily, this doesn't make any sense, because earlier you said the world is literally better without Alex Preddy because he brought a gun to a protest. Now you're saying that you don't think that Kyle Rittenhouse is a quote-unquote bad kid, regardless of the fact that he brought a gun to a protest. So what it seems like is that bringing a gun to a protest is not the relevant factor here that leads you to the conclusion that Alex Preddy was terrible and we're better off without him, and Kyle Rittenhouse is not a bad kid, but rather political affiliation. And this is another point why I think that Donald Trump's mass deportation is so anti-American, because it's led Americans like you to think that the murder of your American brothers and sisters roaming free in the streets of this country is somehow justified simply because they disagree with you. And going back to ICE, why is it that you tell us you think every quote-unquote illegal should be deported because they broke a law and committed a federal misdemeanor, completely victimless, by the way, but then when an ICE agent literally murders somebody, you don't care and you disregard it, then you come up with some quasi-justification for it when you self-admittedly do not know the legal standard that would make that shooting justified. Even going back to that legal standard, which I'll share with you now, you cannot kill somebody for merely being in possession of a firearm as an LEO, because as I previously suggested, the 2nd, 4th, and 14th Amendment, as well as previous SCOTUS case law like Connor v. Graham, which ruled that there has to be an objective reasonableness to an imminent threat upon the life of anybody within the immediate vicinity of somebody that LEOs are going to shoot and kill, and merely being in possession of a firearm isn't one. Even the NRA says this. 2 days after Alex Preddy got murdered, a U.S. attorney from California posted on Twitter that this is totally justified because, well, Alex Preddy brought a gun. The NRA responded by saying that that rhetoric is dangerous and wrong. So in other words, the NRA, who you likely have a membership for, says that your rhetoric is dangerous and wrong when you suggest that he could be shot and killed for merely being in possession of a firearm.
I don't have a membership to the NRA. Thank you, though. No, I think situation and context matters, and that's the whole point of this. It's not a left versus right thing. Is if you are someone who is no longer working at your job, your family's worried about you, you're clearly brainwashed by the media, you're mentally ill, you're violent, you're going out there and harassing ICE agents, and you're getting these situations to be much worse than they already are, and you also have a gun with you, and you are at the point where you are like physically wrestling with ICE agents and you get shot, that is 100% an avoidable situation. You put yourself there, and I guess, yeah, some people will be like, it's sad, it shouldn't have happened. Okay, well, it did, so there's nothing we can do about it. But yeah, I think it's justified. I'm sorry.
I mean, the first 90% of what you said was baseless conjecture and reasonless rambling, okay? You just threw buzzwords out there. Mentally ill, his family didn't like him, quit his job. None of those things amount to an imminent threat upon the life of an LEO to justify them to shoot and kill you. Now, the reason why I only said 90 instead of 100 was the last thing that you said is he was wrestling with cops. Well, when I watched the video, what I saw was him positioning himself in between an officer and a woman. When that officer began to push that woman, he caught her.
And his back was to the cops. He put himself on top of her.
Then the officer maced him, put him to the ground. Next thing, he was being pistol whipped in the head by one while being dogpiled by seven. But at no point did I see a singular action in which would amount to justification for an officer-involved shooting, because even if he was obstructing, mere obstruction does not tell an LEO they could kill you. And even if he was resisting, mere resisting, or even resisting while being in possession of a loaded firearm, also doesn't amount to justification for an LEO to kill you. But I'd say from my perspective that he didn't do either of those two things, and the reason why we saw him wrestle to the ground wasn't because of his own doing, but rather because of the lawless actions of these masked ICE thugs.
Thugs. The people literally here to protect us from illegal aliens raping and killing children are the thugs. Same people like, oh, ICE agents are white supremacist Nazis, and then they're like gay Mexicans literally asking liberals if they can please go do their job because there's a child rapist. Those things are not irrelevant. They do matter. If you are at the point where politics has made you so mentally ill that you are clearly a danger to yourself and others, probably like him and the other woman, as her whatever lesbian wife is telling her to go run over ICE agents, instead of being at home taking care of their children, then yeah, that actually does matter.
She was dropping her kid off at school. This is a hateful cunt.
Mental health matters in these situations because a mentally healthy person would not be in that situation. They would know the danger. They would know that's not a smart thing to do. They probably would be at home with their family or at their job. And I'm like, those things do matter. A normal person does not put themselves in that situation. They did not just run up to them and shoot them. Obviously, we've both seen the videos. We clearly have different takes on the videos and takeaways from it. But in general, I'm like, that's what happens when you put yourself in very stupid, avoidable situations. And it's very sad. Happens all the time.
If anybody's mentally ill because of politics here, it's you. You're telling us that a man who lost his life was not a victim of murder, the officer was justified and we're better off without him, not on the basis of any legitimate claim in conjunction to the legality of the situation. You admitted to not knowing what justifies an LEO to shoot and kill somebody, but because of baseless conjecture. Like, Emily, we're doing it again. You're just sitting here telling me, oh, he could have avoided the situation. Oh, liberal. Oh,
They, by the way, have not debated the actual claim at all. Donald Trump's mass deportation plan is un-American, and all they talked about was, it should say, was Alex Pretty's death justified? That's what this debate was.
protests. Oh, they're like, none of that matters. Like, you have to be able to demonstrate an objectively reasonable threat that Alex Pretty was engaging in to make those officers legitimately fear that if they didn't shoot him, he would have killed them first, okay? Saying that he could have avoided the situation by staying home, it does not amount to an objectively reasonable threat upon the lives of the LEOs. That's just more victim-blaming rhetoric, like the other rhetoric we hear from a lot of people on the right, like telling a woman maybe she shouldn't have gone to that bar because at that bar, she was date raped by a man. Once again, going back to that whole mentally ill because of politics thing, quite ironic that you're the one making that point.
If it was a Republican in the same position, I would have said the same thing. Like the same thing at January 6th. No one gave a that Ashley Babbitt got shot. They were probably happy she got shot the way liberals love to celebrate the deaths of all Republicans. It was the same exact thing. No one gave a when they shot her, an unarmed woman. But Democrats were perfect. That she shouldn't have been there. She was breaking the law. And that's what you're telling me. I'm mentally ill because I don't give a because he was a loser, and his life didn't really.
Ask her. So Ashley Babbitt, do you think she was a loser? Do you think that her death was justified? Because she brought it up, and she said, like, you know, liberals didn't care about her. Did you care about her? Because by your logic, you shouldn't.
Have much meaning, and it sure doesn't matter to me. And I'm sorry, that's not the cute, like politically correct take, but that is the common sense take. Okay, sorry, he's not a productive citizen. He's not curing cancer. He's not going to be the next Elon Musk. I don't care. I don't have to care about people.
So are those the standards for being a productive citizen? Because bitch.
I don't know. But this whole thing of like, oh, you're making it political. No, if my Republican friend was in that situation and brought a gun and was wrestling agents and got shot, I'd be like, you were a idiot.
You have a little time left, so I just got to ask you a quick question. So just to clarify, you think that a nurse at a veterans hospital who helped save the lives of those that were willing to lose their lives for us in war, protecting our Constitution, our inalienable natural-born rights, is a f***ing loser doing nothing productive for society, right?
Yeah, just because you're a nurse does not mean you're a productive member of society, because that would mean that I trust that. Okay.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. I think that you just took the mask off, and unfortunately I can't tell you why because the red light just went off.
This is like rage bait.
I kind of forgot how crazy your beliefs are, Emily.
They're literally, it's just what everyone who has common sense thinks, but they don't have the balls to say out loud. Because you have to do the politically correct bullshit of acting like we care.
I wonder if they knew that, like, because my ass after a debate, like, I would have, like, I wonder if they knew that that was going to be used. Like, hey, just, you know, we're going to be rolling in between. So, because I've definitely said things once the debate's over. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, that's funny.
My first face-off claim is Democrats are the biggest threat to children in this country.
Like my last Jubilee with Pierce Morgan, they had me off to the side and they asked me on camera, like, what do you think of Pierce? And I was like, I think we should check his Pornhub history search because he is obsessed with trans people. That's what I think. What's up? And they didn't air that. I was so disappointed. I'm like, come on, I want him to hear that.
So clearly, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for your argument insofar as why you think Democrats are the biggest threat to children in this country. But I want you to keep in mind the hurdles that you have to overcome, most predominantly the fact that the GOP, not the Democrats, are championing an adjudicated rapist as president, somebody who's also boasted about the sexual exploitation of women and girls by barging into their dressing rooms and looking at their naked bodies, on top of the cover-up we see downstream of Donald Trump's administration and the federal government of the
Her claim is Democrats are the biggest threat to children in this country. That is the dumbest fucking thing you come to the table with right now when we're literally living under a regime that is trying to cover up the Epstein files. Really? A regime that cut $186 billion from the SNAP program so that 14 million kids are not getting the usual sustenance they do. Kicking how many millions off of Medicaid because they're cutting it by $1 trillion over the next 10 years. Like, what are we talking?
Conspirators, predators, and child rapists inside of the Epstein files. So once again, why do you think Democrats are the biggest threat to children in this country?
Okay, first of all, the whole rapist claim is so insane to me. How many people have been sued for calling him a rapist? That's not true. He's not a rapist, or else he would have been charged, and I assume he would have been in jail for that. So throwing that out is not a good way to go about it. You know better than that. I'm sure you understand laws a lot better than I do. That's not my strong field. Not a convicted rapist, okay? I would not support him if he was a convicted rapist, nor would other Republicans. The comments of locker room boy talk.
She doesn't know.
I don't care. I don't care what people are saying behind closed doors. I think that's a very normal way to speak for a man. Okay, so my issues would be the border, okay? When we're talking about protecting children.
That's a normal way for a man to speak? Girl, who are you hanging out with? Mind you, though, I'm pretty sure this is the girl, and I'll find the video, but I'm pretty sure she got fingered at like a TPUSA thing, like in the lobby.
A wide open border is not how I would protect children whatsoever. Okay, 450,000 missing children under the Biden's open borders. That's a lot. We can agree that's a lot. That's unbelievable numbers. Trump, so far, his administration has located 145,000 of those missing children. Why were those children missing? How did they go missing? Why was no one looking for them? I think that's a big deal. I don't like blaming in necessarily administrations. I'm just glad the kids are back. I'm sure we can agree with that, right? We're continuing to look for them. So obviously with the open border, you have child trafficking, you have organ harvesting, okay? That's what's happening at these borders. Kids are going with, addresses on their wrists, and they're going to be pretty much sold and raped for the rest of their lives until they inevitably probably kill themselves from being that traumatized. So I would say...
But I'm sure she's over here like, bomb, baby, bomb. Fuck that Iran all-girls school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so curious.
Closing the border, which Trump has done pretty well.
Also, we're detaining children, right? We're detaining children. Girls are coming up pregnant in ICE detention centers. What's going on?
Is the number one way to protect kids, okay? We have to keep those bad people out. We have to keep the kids in. We have to find the kids. And that is...
Okay, also, if she's talking about because immigrants are out here hurting and raping our children, just so that everyone is aware, American-born people commit crimes at a higher rate than immigrants do. Like, across all crimes, including sexual assault, rape, and pedophilia.
Is the hub of child trafficking. It's hard for Democrats to debate this. I'm like, well, you have a...
In fact, for pedophilia, it's white men that commit that crime the most, by over 50%.
Abortion, which is killing a lot of kids every year. Not exactly a strong... Republicans are not really the pro-abortion party. You have transgenderism, which is ruining children, and they're also dying from it and killing themselves at record numbers. Democrats are not defending children. 2025, the House passed the Preventing Violence Act, Women by Illegal Aliens Act. So this is pretty much just crimes against children, sex offense, blah, blah, blah. Every single no came from Democrats. I just don't understand. I want to understand, why would you vote no for that? It's protecting children. It's just...
Why would you vote no on releasing the Epstein files if you were in the interest of protecting children? But it's all Republicans who voted no.
Shouldn't even be a left versus right thing, which drives me nuts.
The reason Democrats voted no against that bill is because there's already pre-existing law on the book to allow our government to deport somebody on the basis of an accusation, or more so a conviction, of a violent sex crime. So clearly the reason why Democrats voted no is not to give flowers to Nancy Mace that she doesn't deserve, alongside the fact that it's incredibly hypocritical for, as I started this debate with suggesting, to say that you care about violent sex crimes when you made a violent sex criminal president.
Okay, I mean, what would your opinion be on the Lake and Riley Act, which was obviously very talked about?
If I was president, I'd veto it. I think that it's terrible for women and girls abroad because it allows for the deportation of an undocumented immigrant on the basis of an accusation of a violent crime, which then means they'll be deported with no guilty verdict to another country where they will be able to roam free and recommit. At the bare minimum, we should be finding them guilty first, so they'll either land in a jail cell in another country or get thrown in prison here.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, so then... Are you going through a trial first and keeping them in the country until we know that they're guilty? Or are we just allowing them to go and then we're assuming they're guilty? Like, how does that work? Because I know Democrats are very like, gotta go by the book. No one's above the law. So like how would that work? What would you prefer? What is wrong with it that would make the bill better, I guess?
I mean, I just told you what's wrong with the Lake and Riley Act is that it deports people on the basis of an accusation, or allows for the deportation of somebody on the basis of an accusation of a violent sex crime, and they roam free in another country where they could recommit. That's the problem. What we should be doing is we should be keeping them in jail here in custody.
See, that's just it. That's just it. The laws of the land apply to the people on the land. Okay, when you come here and you fuck around, this is how you find out, right? You go through our process and you pay our price. Why would we just let them go and be free? This is the thing. They're always like, oh, send it back home, send it back home. Send all the criminals home. So you want to let criminals go. But again, these are people that also pardoned J6ers. And a lot of those J6ers have been picked up for pedophilia, for child, what are we supposed to say? Corn? Oh, it's so stupid. But this is the Republicans' America.
Custody here, finding them guilty here, and then deporting them to a jail cell abroad, or like I already said, putting them in a jail cell here.
Okay, so obviously you would support them going back to where they came from and serving their jail time where they came from, not here in America.
The only thing that I care about is a reliable criminal justice system where I know they won't be able to roam free on the streets of any country on the face of planet Earth. If their home country has one of those, send them back and put them in a jail cell there.
Yeah.
What if the home country doesn't have that? Do we keep them here?
Yes.
So we keep them here even though they're violent? We keep them in jail? We keep them away from children? Or do we just let them roam free?
We would probably put somebody found guilty of a violent sex crime in jail.
Well, we tend not to. That's my issue. We have,
You're right, like
I
our
covered on this
president.
show, 4 times a week, there's usually a black male with a rap sheet of 45.
Are you fucking kidding me? Because whenever I'm looking at the news now, it's the next new Republican that's come out and been arrested for child porn, for pedophilia, for grape. Like, that's the news that keeps coming out.
Pages that's
Another
committed,
Christian.
He's attacked women, he's assaulted women, he's attempted to rape women, potentially child porn in the past, and then we see he goes and lights a woman on fire because these DAs that are always Democrats under people like George Soros tend to just let them go over and over and over. And I'm like, would you agree we need to keep them in prison? I don't think you should have 45 strikes. I just don't think that works.
Nobody's saying
That quote-unquote
about 45
black male
strikes.
that's been found guilty of rape that's roaming free in the streets is actually a billionaire white man named Donald Trump serving as our president. 2 years ago, a civil court held him liable for the rape of E. Jean Carroll, and you still voted for him. You're a hypocrite.
Okay. The E. Jean Carroll, okay, so he's guilty, so he's a rapist. Why is he not in jail?
Because I'll help you with knowledge here about the criminal justice system inside of America. Civil courts determine financial responsibility, not criminal responsibility. So when he was found guilty, he wasn't put in a jail cell. He was only forced to pay $87 million. And before you ask, the reason why he couldn't or wasn't found guilty inside of a criminal court of law is because the statute of limitations on the crime had expired, meaning even if E. Jean Carroll had a video of it happening to her, she was not able to pursue criminal charges. Therefore, a claim of liability in a civil court of law was the best option she had available.
$87 million for saying something happened to you with relatively no proof as one of the most attacked men on the planet. I mean, that is probably, I would say, I'm sure you're, protect women, care about women, feminism. I would say she's the epitome of what makes these cases complete jokes and why people don't believe women about a lot of things they say, including rape, sexual assault. She's a crazy woman who lives in first of all, $87 million is unbelievable. That's actually unbelievable for something that you literally can't prove. And I'm just like, so it happened that long ago. You happen to be a crazy liberal feminist. You live in the woods. You do all this crazy art, whatever bullshit she's doing. And then all of a sudden when someone's president and has power and every 3-letter agency and all these people attempted assassinations, all of a sudden now you're traumatized from something that happened that long ago. Trump was born into money, successful, has been around beautiful women his whole life. Why? There's no world where I believe he would even touch that woman, nevertheless rape her.
She's a fucking idiot. Those are the men who do things like that because they have the money to get away with whatever they want. They will try and do whatever they want because they could get away with it. Oh, he was born into money. Oh, he's been around beautiful women. Oh my God, she's too ugly to be raped. That's what she's saying right now. Bro, Emily, Jubilee, if you see this video, put me at the table with this bitch. Honestly.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that you said there. So first and foremost, you said, wow, she was able to sue him and find him guilty of rape with no proof. I don't believe that you've done research into the case. What is one piece of evidence that the jury used to hold Donald Trump liable for raping her?
Okay, so she's in the fitting room at the store. She claims that all this has happened. It's like that's just not even realistic. None of this has happened. How come she didn't come by 30, 20 plus years ago? Are there tapes of this? Are there evidence? You also have everyone around who's willing to lie for her. You have a justice system who completely wants to put this guy in jail because they can't attempt to assassinate him. There's not women who are actually raped by predators on the street who have real results can go and get a rape kit. They don't get $87 million. Like, it's just one of those things, regardless if it was Biden or Trump, you look at it, of course she's a liar. There's no reason she deserved $1 for that. There is not substantial proof. Does she have a rape kit? Is there semen in her? Is there any of this? No, she just sued Donald Trump and he had to pay her money. And it's like, no one's getting raped and getting $87 million. It's crazy. When you step back and you take Trump out of it, if it was anyone else, you'd be like, that's nuts. But because it's Trump, no one can just look through it with like logical glasses on. It's just like, oh yeah, he's a rapist.
Yeah, you just wasted a minute of your time because I asked you what's one piece of evidence that the jury used to find him guilty. And you sure talked a lot, but you didn't name a piece of evidence. So I'll help you.
That's one thing. Emily talks a lot without saying anything.
There was a lot of evidence that the jury used in order to hold Donald Trump guilty for the rape of E. Jean Carroll. Most predominantly, you had her own testimony alongside the testimony of 7 of her friends. You had therapist notes from the 90s indicating that she was raped by Donald Trump. You had a dress that she submitted to the court claiming it had Trump's DNA in it from the day that he raped her. And in response, they tested it, found male DNA, asked Trump for his DNA, and he said no, until the discovery period was over. That's something a guilty man would do. Then on top of that, you had the inconsistencies and lies within his own testimony. To start with those, he first claimed that he never met E. Jean Carroll. She responded to the court by submitting a picture of the two together. That's a lie. He also claimed that he never do that to her because she isn't his type, but then under deposition actually confused a picture of his ex-wife, Marla Maples, to be E. Jean Carroll. So how crazy does she sound now? Honestly, that just kind of sounds like victim blaming. And on top of that, I'd say the silver bullet is his character priors. 2005 Access Hollywood tapes, what did he say? He said that he could just grab any woman by their female member. He doesn't even need to ask first. That's exactly what the jury found him guilty for doing. Grabbing E. Jean Carroll by her female member without asking first, then inserting his fingers inside. And what about another civil bullet here? In 2005, he also sat down with Howard Stern and straight up told Howard Stern that he had sexually exploited naked women and naked girls by barging into their dressing rooms at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA and then would look at their naked bodies. That's something a rapist would do. So I don't understand why you are toeing the line, doing everything you can to defend that rapist.
I'm not defending him. I don't believe the evidence. I think it's completely insane. I don't believe her. She's out of her mind. I don't believe anyone who is trying to take down the president on that level would be honest with something that happened that long ago.
I have limited time here. Your time is up. You can't speak. In your last breath, you straight up told me that you don't believe her. You don't believe the evidence after not responding to any of the pieces of evidence that I told you. It seems like you were brainwashed into this worldview where you were willing to ignore reality, believe the lies, and discount the testimony of a survivor. And that makes sense because that's what the totality of the GOP is doing right now with the survivors from the Epstein files. Pam Bondi wouldn't even look at them. I'm going to use the rest of my time to play you the clip of Donald Trump admitting to sexual exploitation, and I expect at no point in the future of this debate will you acknowledge it, address it, or talk about it at all, because just like with E. Jean Carroll and the fact that she was raped, you're going to sweep it under the rug too.
Well, is there fingers in her or she's raped? Those are...
You can't talk. It's my time to talk.
Well, I feel like that's a good clarification if you're going to call someone a rapist.
You interrupted me there. You said, was it fingers in her or was she raped? That is rape. I would say that the definition of rape would include the penetration of a woman's female member with any part of a man's body, but most definitely his fingers. Here's a clip of Donald Trump admitting to sexual exploitation.
Say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that.
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting.
Right.
I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
So I just want to get it clear. You're telling me that this man, and you're laughing, this man that admitted to abusing his position of power as the owner of these beauty pageants to barge into the women and girls dressing room, where you then abuse their position of vulnerability because they feel vulnerable enough to take their clothes off to change, to then look at them naked is acceptable, and you in fact...
She's laughing and yawning while she's listening to the president talk about, you know, exploiting young girls and sneaking into their dressing rooms and stuff. And Emily, listen, I don't know what happened to you, but it wasn't your fault. Okay? Because the way that this girl is when it comes to sexual assault, I just feel like it's either happened too many times and now it's been normalized for her, or I don't know, or it never happened and she just can't put herself in someone else's shoes. I mean, yeah, if a guy comes up to you and puts anything inside of your vagina, that's rape. What the fuck?
I even find it funny just like he did.
You could be right about everything in the world. Doesn't even matter. Never even gonna move a needle. Literally, everyone's gonna watch this. They're gonna agree with you and me and just go on with their life. Like, you're never gonna make a difference.
You'd be surprised the stories that I've heard about the difference that I made.
Like what? Would you save someone's life?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, you're not saving anyone's life,
No,
bro.
no,
You're so
unironic.
narcissistic.
It's a real story. My next face-off claim is Donald Trump wishes he could be a dictator.
See? There's no way that she knew that they were going to use that, right? Because, like, she's just a grifter. She's a grifter, which is why she has no basis for any of her, you know, arguments. Because she's just here to be, I guess, rage bait eye candy? I don't know. Because she's like, we're not going to move the needle at all in any direction. Like, then what the fuck are you doing here? Like, because I'll tell you right now, when I'm doing debates, I am trying to move the needle. Like, I think about when I'm doing, I am not debating the person in front of me. I'm debating who the people are watching.
Okay, I mean, he has a lot of power right now, leader of the free world. So why is he not doing it? Why, when people are going and attempting to assassinate him, rioting on the streets, why is he not banning people, kicking them out of the country? I don't know. Why isn't he more of a dictator? I feel like he has the power. He should.
Well, it's funny that you make that point, because I'd actually argue that he has tried to position himself above the law, above the Constitution, above Congress even. And I think that there's a great argument that I could give you to demonstrate how that's the case. So in the last year and a couple months, that's how long he's been president, I believe that he's infringed upon Article 1 of the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, then Amendment 4, 10, 14, and 22. And we could go through that now, because if that's all true, then I think you'll kind of see some credibility in my claim about how he wants to position himself as a dictator, above laws, above the Constitution, above Congress, yada, yada, yada. So let's start with the amendments that he's infringed on. I think that he served as a threat to the First Amendment when he suggested that it's now illegal to criticize him in the media. I think that he suggested a threat to the Second Amendment when he told his Department of Justice to try to find any way to ban any and all gun ownership for all law-abiding trans-American citizens. The NRA agreed with me, by the way. I think that he's infringed on the Fourth Amendment when he gave an order to ICE to arrest people without any judicial warrants. That is blatantly illegal. Courts have ordered and ruled as such. Same thing with his illegal deportation of like 300 Venezuelan immigrants to Sica in El Salvador with no due process. Judge ruled that was illegal. Donald Trump said, I don't care. I think that he's infringed on the 10th Amendment via illegally deploying the National Guard in Illinois. SCOTUS actually gave their opinion on the subject matter. They said it was unconstitutional. He's definitely infringed on the 14th Amendment. He did that day one with Executive Order number 14160, where he tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil. They've had that since 1868 with the ratification of the 14th. He can't do that. Same thing with the 22nd Amendment. He's just kind of served a threat to that via the resuggestion that he wants to run for a third term. Then we look at Article 1 of the Constitution. He's infringed on Article 1 and 2. He's infringed on the Articles of the Constitution via the suggestion that if Congress doesn't pass voter ID laws, he'll just do it on its own. He can't assume the power of Congress. That's illegal. Then same thing with like nationalizing the midterm elections. That's also illegal. The Constitution gives that ability to the states. And this is just kind of scratching the surface, but clearly I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. I know that you don't really know too much about the law or the Constitution, so let's start there.
Okay. Jesus, go back to the first one.
So you just want me to pick something? Okay, I'll just.
Dude, just first three, just go so I can like remember what you're even saying.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just pick an example because that was a lot. A really good example of him infringing on the Constitution, positioning himself above it, and kind of telling me that he wants to be an authoritarian would be his infringement on the 14th Amendment, where he tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil, even though the 14th Amendment gives them that right.
Okay, and I just don't agree with that. I don't agree. First of all, them getting citizenship, I don't think that it should be like that. I see there's way too much going on. You have illegals coming here, they're having kids, and then they're getting citizenship. We have an overwhelming amount of like, Jesus, you can call them baby making houses in Orange County, where it's literally just a bunch of Chinese women in a house, and they're just pregnant and they're giving citizenship to their kids. So I don't know. I don't think that should be legal. I don't think we should be giving that to them. Of course.
What the fuck is she talking about? Does anybody know? What is she talking about?
Democrats are not going to agree with that. I just think it's interesting, though, because, first of all, I know when he's talking about the third term, he's joking. And I know it's like, you're like, he's president, he can't joke like that. That's fine.
He's not joking.
I'm going to get into that. I would say, what about the Biden administration, pressuring like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and all this stuff to either like suppress information, taking Trump down from Twitter and all these things? Like, would you say that was too far, or do you think that's justified?
So I don't mind talking about the Biden-Harris administration with you and having a conversation about potential executive overreach there. I just want to ensure productive linear conversation, which would include going point by point. But I hope that we have enough time to go over that, because I'd love to before the clock ends. Now, to respond to your first comments about the 14th Amendment, I don't expect you to think that the children born to undocumented immigrants should be birthright citizens, okay? Emily, you're a crazy radical conservative. Look back at the debate that we've had. It would be a needle in a haystack, and such a surprise for you to tell me otherwise, that you do think they should have birthright citizenship. And I hear this from every conservative ever. When I make this point about him infringing on the 14th Amendment, the first response is always, well, I don't think the children born to them should have birthright citizenship. But that's not what matters here. What matters here is, regardless of what you think, Donald Trump positioned himself above the Constitution.
Exactly.
Regardless of what you think about the 14th Amendment, Donald Trump attempted to terminate it as it stands with an executive order. Regardless of what you think, that is dictatorial. That is authoritarian. Checks and balances matter. The Constitution matters. Congress matters. The Supreme Court matters. No one person should have the ability to completely change the laws as they've existed since 1868 with one signature on one piece of paper. And that's what I want you to respond to.
No, that's fair. If you want to go, I'm giving an opinion. I don't think they should have citizenship, and I think that he should go about it legally. If he doesn't like it, I think he should legally go about it and, attempt to put forth in front of the American people to change it. But I don't think he should just go and do whatever he wants, because when every administration does usually whatever they want. They do a lot of things that I think are overreach and illegal, and they should all be held to the same standard. It's not, I'm sure Trump overreaches, Biden overreach, Obama, they've all overreached. So it's just like, I agree. He should go about it the legal way. I think we should have some order in the country for once.
Okay, so it actually seems like you might agree with my claim that he wants to be a dictator. Now, no? Well, I mean, what else could he do? There's no document above the Constitution. What else could he do to prove to you that he wants to be a dictator?
Be a
if
dictator.
You agree that he doesn't care about the Constitution, if you agree he doesn't care about the checks and balances, if you agree he doesn't care about the Supreme Court of Congress, like what else could he possibly do to convince you that he wants to be a dictator?
He could do what other dictators do, which is like memorialize himself, right? Like by stealing the Kennedy Center and putting his name on it. He literally is trying to memorialize himself while he's alive. That's what dictators do.
By being a dictator. Look at people you consider dictators.
Pause.
Done.
Around the world. Why doesn't he just behave like that then? Why doesn't he just throw out the book and be like, all right, all these people protesting, throw them in jail. Freedom of speech, gone. Not allowed to criticize me. Shut down every other station that's not, I don't know, Fox and Newsmax. Maybe he likes them, right? Put political opponents in jail. Go, the assassination attempts on his life, or, it's like, look who's just, testifying in front of Epstein file. Like, why doesn't he just go be a dictator if he's capable of it? I mean, the thing is, the United States is like, you are the leader of the free world. You have a lot of power. You have a lot of power over other countries as well. So it's like, so just go. So why isn't he doing it then? Because I feel like with the, amount of like attempts to ruin his life, his career, going after his family, his safety, assassination attempts. I feel like he's handled it pretty well. He doesn't seem too bitter or upset about it. So I'm like, why doesn't he just go do it? Like, who would you like him to be more like? And who do you consider a real dictator? And is he like them?
Okay, yeah, let me respond to everything that you said. So I think that you made a really good point, and you don't even know it. You said he's capable of it. I don't think that he is fully capable of it. And in fact, I think that's why he's not a full-blown dictator, mask-off authoritarian. Because we do have checks and balances. We do have a body of people that sit on the Capitol building all day that could strike him down and talk to members of his administration. We do have judges that rule a lot of the things that he does as illegal. And sometimes those orders will stick. The administration will get checked. You and I just never hear about it because of Steve Bannon's tactic of flooding the zone and doing something new whenever they lose. But my point is even though we have these checks and balances, even though we have Congress, even though we have the courts, okay, he is still pushing the limits to a level never seen before in this country's history, all right? Starting in 2020 with his fake elector scheme of installing fake votes for himself in Congress to rig and steal the election. Only reason why that didn't work is because of Mike Pence. He wouldn't have been a dictator. Oh, he loves the people too on that day, by the way. Pardon the 174 people that try to kill cops. Moving on to all the constitutional infringements that he's made in the last year that I told you, definitely indicative of authoritarianism. Saying that he wants to, I don't know, nationalize the midterm elections. That doesn't ring a bell for you, like maybe a little bit authoritarian? And every day he does something new to demonstrate to you, me, and the rest of the world that that is what he wants, and he would like a dictatorship, and he wouldn't like any checks and balances, because if he were to respect the checks and balances, then why do I have so much ammunition, so many talking points, and so many facts that I'm sharing with you right now to demonstrate otherwise? If he likes the Constitution, why the hell did he call for its termination? If he likes elections, why the hell did he try to prevent one in 2020? If he likes Congress, why did he say that he could federalize elections and take that power away from states and pass laws without them? If he likes courts, then why the hell did he try to ignore the court's order that ruled some of his deportations as illegal? And if he likes the Supreme Court and their rulings on the Constitution, then why the hell doesn't he respect their previous rulings on the nature of the 14th Amendment when he attempted to argue that it didn't apply to the children born to undocumented immigrants? The obvious answer to all these questions is, well, clearly he doesn't like the checks and balances. And if he doesn't like the checks and balances, then my claim that he wants to be a dictator is true.
He doesn't have much time left, correct? So why doesn't he just go do all these things? That's what I don't understand. If he wants to do it, this is the only time left. He has power.
This debate is boring as fuck. Dean is a great debater, but he's boring. How far are we in? Oh, God. They have one more claim. I'm over it. I'm just over it. I can't do it anymore. My brain, I'm done. We're done with this one. Anyway, I can't watch anymore. She's an idiot. Dean's a great debater, but he's boring. Okay. This is the Putting You On pod. I'm Ceci. I put you on. You hit subscribe. And I am going to start fucking streaming soon because I'm sick of being like confined. I can't just say whatever I want. I can't. So we're going to have to switch this up. Yeah. Anyway, have a great day.